Hello and welcome. Even as we speak, officials of the Ministry of Environment and Forests are at the site of Lavasa, the massive hill station which is coming up on the outskirts of Pune and which has become the latest in a series of conflicts between the Environment Ministry and the mega project, calling into question the very future of the project itself. Joining me today on this very exclusive discussion is Ajit Gulabchand, who's the Chairman and Managing Director of HCC, Hindustan Construction Limited, which is in fact the promoter and developer of Lavasa. Thanks very much indeed, Ajit, for joining us today. As we speak,
yes,
that team from the Environment Ministry is in Lavasa, and I will come to some of the allegations that they made against the project, which they're looking into in a second. But are you worried about the very future of Lavasa when you look at what's happening?
Well, this whole Kafkaesque journey began with a show cause notice from the Ministry of Environment, and which made some allegations that we should have taken their permission, where we were very clear that this permission was not required. The state government's permission was more than adequate. And after 2006, for the second phase of the development, we were very clear that we have to take the MOEF's permission.
Right.
However, we got this notice suddenly, specially delivered to us, without giving us a hearing. And we were even asked that show cause why this should not be cancelled, or on why we did not take their permission.
Right. Before we come to the notice, I just want to put a little bit of what is happening in Lavasa in perspective for people who don't know. Now, you've been constructing here since 2004, right?
No, we've been here since 2000, the year 2000.
Right, but you've actually started construction in 2004.
No, but that's not too material. The most important thing is...
You've been there since 2000.
We've been there. We were given permission by the Maharashtra government under the Hill Station Act, demarcated the area in which we could buy land in order to build the hill station, and we began that process.
Right.
We were given clear permissions to build on the first 2,000 hectares on this area, and all the plans were approved. There are some environmental guidelines laid down in the Hill Station Act itself, plus there were certain environment impact assessment was done by NEERI, based on which we also added our own environment guidelines in order to build this. So I think we were very clearly under the impression, and very clearly so, that we needed nobody else's permission. However, when we were served this notice, it didn't come just as a notice for show cause, but it came with also telling us for any other violations we may have done.
Yeah.
And for which we were asked not only to stop work, but to restore status quo ante 2005, which means destroy everything that was done.
That's what I'm trying to ask you. Until this point, you've built a considerable amount of the project, right? You built a number of apartments and hotels and dams and so on.
Yeah, a whole lot of things that have been approved in the first 2,000 hectares have been built. And
you've already spent about how much?
There is about ourselves, as well as some of the SPVs that have invested in Lavasa, have spent almost 4,000 crores on the ground there.
Okay. And today, because you can't continue any work, how much are you losing?
Well, we're losing about 2 crores a day.
You're losing 2 crores a day?
Yes, yes.
So if you continue like this, do you think that Lavasa can survive? Or does this threaten the very future of the project?
Well, it does threaten the future of the project. However, I think we have acted in good faith on a variety of actions we have taken. And given that the court was very deeply upset that such a status quo ante order was given, even the MOEF felt that it made an error in the word ante. So I feel that given the allegations that Meda Patkar has made, we feel that the MOEF, after this inspection, might actually see the kind of work we have done there and what kind of environment enhancing features of the project have been deployed there, and I think we should be able to see something. But
okay, so you're still optimistic.
If it has been a Kafkaesque journey so far, but I look forward with some optimism on this, because we've done some really very good work here.
Okay, let's look at some of the specific allegations that the Environment Ministry made when it sent its first notice to you, which was on the 25th of November of this year, 26th of November of, in fact, last year, where they said that you've actually constructed a portion of Lavasa which is above the prescribed height. That if you go above 1,000 meters, then you do need clearance. And your argument is that you don't need that clearance.
Well, one moment. First, as far as we are concerned, we have not constructed anything above 1,000 meters.
They say that your entrance gate is above 1,000 meters.
It's a very small symbolic gate.
But it is above 1,000 meters.
What does it matter? It's a symbolic gate. It could have been a toll plaza. See, that is not material. And it's even less than 5 crores. Even according to the MOEF, less than 5 crores does not matter.
Right. But again, would you concede that in the eyes of the law, that could still be seen as a violation?
No, I don't think so. It cannot be seen as a violation because even in the eyes of the law, trifles don't matter. So the issue is whether we have actually constructed the whole town or part of the town in that area. We haven't.
Right.
We have 46 hectares of that area. We've declared it to the collector on that basis.
Right.
We have even said we are not going to construct anything.
Okay,
there.
that's the other point which they've mentioned in the notice, which they say that there are these 46 hectares, which are also above 1,000 meters.
Now, so what if they are 46
Now
hectares?
you're saying that they're above 1,000 meters, but there's no construction on them.
Absolutely no, and no intention to construct there.
No intention to construct as well.
Not even in the master plan to construct there, yes.
Okay. The number of other allegations which they've listed is that they actually had a hearing on the 14th of December at the ministry where they called representatives from Lavasa as well as Medha Patkar and the other activists who have objected to it. And in their order, they actually listed a number of those allegations which says that 1, drinking water quality will be affected by the construction. Stone crushing which is happening there is polluting the valley. There's cutting of hill slopes and there's erosion of biodiversity.
Well, these are such general statements. They happen every time you walk, Vasu. Every time a human being walks, these things happen. These are generalities. Even the court mentioned that this is like a public speech. There is no specific allegation of what is the norm, and against that norm, what is the violation. In fact, even their first notice, which clearly mentions, may have done violations. So the issue is, these are generalities which Medha Patkar and her National Alliance have mentioned.
Okay.
And in these generalities have been repeated as the concern.
In the Environment Ministry's order.
But they are just concerns.
Okay.
They are not really charges.
All right. So you're saying they're generalities, but the ministry has replicated them as charges. When we come back, we'll just take a short break, Ajit. When we come back, we'll go more deeper into some of these charges and then get you to counter them. Welcome back. You're watching our special exclusive with Ajit Gulabchand of HCC, even as his Lavasa project comes under fire. Ajit, you were saying that many of these charges that have been mentioned in the ministry's order, which replicate the charges made by activists, are very general. But are some of these activities taking place? Is stone crushing taking place? Are hill slopes being cut?
See, let us understand something. We are building a hill station city. There have been guidelines laid down by the hill station policy as to what we can do and cannot do. We have stuck by all the guidelines that are laid down. There have been environment impact assessments done by NERI, which also we have followed. In addition to that, we have created our own set of guidelines, but which we will follow there in order to enhance the ecology of the place. So as far as we are concerned, yes, when you construct, you have to have something, whether you crush stone there or you buy it from somewhere else. These are given things in any construction anywhere in the world.
Okay, so some of your stone crushing is happening on site.
It's bound to happen there, and if it doesn't, you have to have that many trucks bring it with carbon emissions, emitting carbon emissions all the way down there.
Right.
So these are something that have to be done. I mean, this is a construction site for the purpose of building this. To the extent the rules of those construction sites are also followed, what is laid down in the hill station policy is followed. So we are acting within the norms that were laid down for us. So that's perfectly all right. There's nothing illegitimate about it.
Now, in some of your responses to the Environment Ministry, in some of the statements that you made, you've used very strong language. You've said that the ministry has acted without jurisdiction.
Yes.
You've said that you've chosen to act at the instance and behest of activists in a high-handed and arbitrary manner. That the effort through the show cause notice appears to be to stall the IPO of Lavasa, and it's difficult to believe that your ministry was ignorant of this IPO.
Yeah.
Is that too strong, you think, in hindsight?
look at the damage it caused. There was clear knowledge that SEBI had cleared our IPO.
The IPO for
IPO of
Lavasa.
a very large market cap that was shot. HCC lost half its market cap practically. In addition to that, 10,000 people, construction workers that were directly working, affecting the livelihoods of another 60,000 people, were asked to go home, stop work. All the schools that have been created were to be closed down and broken down. All the 800,000 trees planted there had to be cut down. All the hydro seeding of slopes done had to be uprooted. All the roads. If you look at the harshness of the order, in addition, given all this happening in the middle of the project, we obviously felt that this was rather harsh.
Right.
It was without a hearing.
Right.
And therefore, why would this happen became a question mark. And I think we therefore raised these issues.
You don't think the perception was, or I believe the Environment Minister himself has said that it almost seemed vituperative. Your statements have been vituperative.
I thought that the order was, the show cause notice was vituperative. We have responded relatively mildly and in a civilized way by going to court.
No, but when you say that you've chosen to act in an arbitrary and high-handed manner, and it seems that you're trying to stall our IPO...
You tell me something. Was it not arbitrary? Without giving us a hearing, without understanding what has happened, why was such a harsh order passed? That's all. But having said that...
Can I ask you, you're a businessman. You also want to resolve the deadlock.
Sure, of course I want to resolve.
You don't necessarily want to get into a confrontation with the ministry.
Absolutely not.
Have you spoken to Jairam Ramesh? Have you picked up the phone and called him and said, look what has happened?
There has been limited time in which this happened. As it unfolded, it had to go to court. For some reason, the judges, after judges, recused themselves. Right. So by the time the order came, they ordered the hearing to continue. By the time the hearing is over, now the team is at Lavasa site for inspection. There hasn't been sufficient time for a point to come where we could explain. We hope that this team that is visited will actually see the work, vis-a-vis the charges made by the Meda Parkers people. In fact,
we're specifically trying to reach out to Jairam. Have you tried to speak to him? Have you tried to call him?
Well, since we were not given a hearing to begin with, we were a bit surprised that whether we were... No, but we haven't, because we have been busy in trying to respond to all these things. As we do this, and as I speak to you, I would like that... Look, we are creating some next practices here. We today have green building norms of LEEDs, which are applied. We have a number of them. Our latest development of 1.8 million square feet is the largest standalone green building in the country of gold certified. We are working with LEEDs India in order to create the next practices for towns and townships. We would love to partner with the MOEF to create these next practices for the hundreds of towns that India will need, the thousands of neighborhoods we have to build.
So if you are trying to put in all these practices, and if you say that the violations are minor, that you have an entrance gate which is perhaps over 1,000 meters...
I don't consider that as a violation.
You don't consider it, the government might. You have another plot of land which you say you're not constructing on.
Absolutely.
You say that these are minor. Why then do you think you're facing such harsh action, especially almost a decade after you started?
Possibly the NGOs have misled, like they misled the Sunday Times of London. The Sunday Times, the same NGO...
The NGOs are one thing, but for the ministry to pass an order is another thing altogether.
I'm just giving you that example. The same NGOs who have international credibility misled the Sunday Times of London, which wrote many of the charges they have made against us. And against this, which we took them to court in London. When it came to trial, they called for mediation, acknowledged that those allegations were wrong, accepted, apologized, and even paid costs towards this whole thing. So,
do you think that there is politics also at the heart of it? Because especially of Sharad Pawar's well-known association with the project, he said that he was very critical in its inception. Do you think that that could be a reason?
Well, why would it be? Please let us look at it. Mr. Sharad Pawar began the idea when he saw the lake districts in the 80s that we should have one. We have these lakes created here. After that, the hill station policy was created by the BJP Shiv Sena government in Maharashtra. Many people have applied for it from Ambi Valley to other 4 people to do this. So it's a kind of public-private partnership. Government of Maharashtra wanted it built, created a Hill Station Act, so we've all responded.
No, but but because of the fact that his associations seem to be extremely close, his family members held shares in the project for a very long time.
His son-in-law, Sadanand Sure, did hold shares for a while, but he exited in 2004 because he found the project to be too big. He didn't want to be. And don't forget, while he's his son-in-law, he's also Bhalchandra Sure's son. Bhalchandra Sure was the former managing director of Mahindra & Mahindra, close associate of Keshav Mahindra.
Yes.
He's also the nephew of B.G. Deshmukh, the former cabinet secretary of India. So it's an old association. He was on the board of HCC for a long time, Bhalchandra Sure. So let us not add too much value to that fact. But the fact is he's not there. And today he does not exist.
So there is no connection, there is no connection, formal connection with the Pawar family to the project.
Except that, yes, the state wanted it done. It's a prestigious project. It's going to bring in 40,000 crores worth of investment over the next 10 years into that region and into Maharashtra. You're creating a replicable model of an thriving urban center in the midst of an enhanced ecology, a new kind of practice and understanding of how we can build cities of the future, those which we need so badly in this country.
So you don't think that politics could be behind it?
Well,
you don't think that
I do not believe that there is any politics. But if you think,
because even now Mr. Pawar has come out very strongly in defense of Lavasa.
Why shouldn't they? Maharashtra should have this project. I expect that why even the Prime Minister should defend a wonderful project like this. So I do not believe that is so. However, if you say so, then you yourself are saying that this is not environmental.
Well, no, I'm not saying so. I'm asking you.
So Meda Patkar has a non-environmental agenda, which is true.
What the
activists... She's been trying to close this project down for the last 10 years.
Okay, what the activists are alleging is that during this period, during the time when the Pawar family held their shares in the project, that is the time when you got the largest number of clearances. Between around 2001 and 2004, you got a number of clearances at almost in unseemly haste. That's the allegation.
This is an allegation. Is there any supporting evidence for that? Nothing. It's just a flung allegation. And I'm sorry, it is not possible to answer such allegations. Second is, it's taken us 10 years to reach this place. Number of permissions, there are 76 permissions that we have had to take. It's all taken its own time. And yes...
The fact that many of them fell within the same time period...
No, you're making a mistake there.
Okay.
This is what you're repeating, Meda Patkar. Don't be accessory to libel, Vasu.
So you're saying that that's not the case? These clearances didn't come in that window?
No, they didn't come in that window. They've come over a period of time. And some are consequential. For example, once you get the MOF clearance, some of the other clearances become consequential.
Okay.
They can happen together sometimes. But
so like, for example, clearances which declared some of these villages as hill station...
I'm sorry, this goes with the
construction of mini dams, etc., etc.
See, please,
this is all part of your saying...
You must
the procedural aspect of it.
It is procedural. When you declared the Hill Station Act, they went and demarcated the area which is to be the Hill Station area in which you can buy. Meda Patkar also alleged that we were forcing farmers to sell. That's not true. We have bought them on negotiated basis from time to time. There is no acquisition of land by government there. At the same time, those who felt that give us another space in the area, we would move there and we will give you this. We have swapped land, where some others who didn't want to sell, they're sitting in the middle of the development.
Okay.
One of the most successful shopkeepers, hoteliers and restaurants is right across the town hall of Daswe town in Lavasa, and he has not sold his land.
Ajay, let's just step back for a second and look at the project in its entirety. This is a huge project, right? This is almost 25,000 acres.
Expected to be, but we have not been able to buy that much land. Yes,
right. Yeah. But that's the sort of final blueprint, that's the final vision.
If we can buy that much land, yes.
Given what you're seeing, given the kind of objections you're seeing and the protests, where are you willing to reconsider the blueprint of Lavasa? Are you willing to say, look, if I can't do all 25,000, I'm willing to do something smaller?
See, please, one moment. I didn't ask for this project to be done. The government of Maharashtra wanted it. One. Number two, we dreamt that dream. And we created, and we have created, let's elevate this, to a new idea of a city. Professor Prahlad said India needs 500 new cities if it is not to be condemned to slum living.
Okay.
So we are creating a new idea.
Right. But now, given the current reality...
But why should they stop it? When we are actually enhancing the ecology of the place, when we are building within the norms that can be, any city...
Not stop it, but let's say if you could curtail the size of Lavasa...
I would like to ask you, what would you do? Whether I curtail or not is not material. There are 18 villages there.
Yes.
All the group Gram Panchayat has passed a unanimous resolution supporting Lavasa. It has become party in the court case. It has become party to the hearing of the MOUF. Having said this, suppose we didn't build it, and these 18 villages grew to a town of 1.5 million people. What would you do to stop it?
Okay. Let me rephrase
this
that
way
question.
you will
Are you saying that there's no compromise then? From your side, are you willing to not be flexible on?
No, it's not a question of compromise.
Okay.
What we are saying is the objection has to be environmental. And how to address the environmental issues, we are more than willing to work together to create the next practice of environment here. So that we can build.
If they bring in certain suggestions or modifications.
Absolutely. We would be fine that we'll work on them, work with them about the next practices, create them, incorporate them so we get a wonderful city which is environment friendly, even enhances the ecology in which it sits.
What about your IPO? It was supposed to be scheduled
we were supposed
last
to go
month,
last month, but we were not in a position to go ahead because of this. So now, hopefully, we would be able to put this. We expect that if the Environment Ministry looks at the real work we have done, we can close this chapter on creating the proper environment clearance they would like to give, with the provisions they would like to see, and I'm sure. When you look at provisions, they have to be ones that does not render business impossible. But nevertheless, if they do that, we are more than glad to incorporate them.
While all this was going on, Lavasa's name also cropped up in this loans for bribe scam involving LIC officials. Did that again
I don't want to even
affect?
Answer this. See, listen, while allegations have no value, let us understand something.
Right.
We have not done any such thing. I've been on your television and everybody used to say that with clarity. So what is there to say more about it? I have nothing more to say about it.
No, I'm just saying, does that in any way impact
Certainly
your
not.
plans for Lavasa because some of these loans were called into question?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, just because some allegations are made by somebody doesn't mean these are true.
Okay, so you're saying this entire business of Money Matters, which has got caught in this investigation,
don't forget,
doesn't affect
Money Matters was a very, very prestigious company. It was listed on the stock exchange.
Clearly.
Had a great valuation of almost more than 1,000 crores.
Yes.
It had some of the biggest names from former LIC chairmen on its board. And it has worked with, if you see the client list, it's extraordinary. So let's understand that.
But then, you must have been quite surprised when you found.
We were surprised too, and they are not the only ones we have worked with. We have worked with many merchant bankers, many such brokers to deal with over a period. It's a 100-year-old company.
Okay, but as we conclude, you're saying that you're prepared to sit down with the ministry and take on board whatever suggestions they have, even if it means modifying some of the plans you have for Lavasa. As long as the project gets off the ground.
We have to discuss the modifications in the context of environmental reasons. And we are committed to the environment. We brought some of the world's biggest experts to the table, including Janine Benyus, who is the third winner of the Champion of the Planets Award of the United Nations after Al Gore and Gorbachev. We have taken every form of activity to create these next practice. We will cooperate with them to create a wonderful new set of standards, objective and measurable standards for sustainable towns, which can then be replicated around the rest of the country. Like Gujarat is asked us to partner with them for Dulera. Karnataka has also asked us for a request of interest to participate in creating 4 satellite towns, at least one of them. They even described it like Lavasa. So I think this is something that we love to do. This is the business of Lavasa, and we would certainly want to do that.
All right. Well, all the very best with your plans. But thanks so much for coming in and taking our questions. Thanks very much.
Thank you.